What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday. I'm doing a request, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce this. It's HICHKAS. I think that's correct. And the song is MOSHT SARBAZ, or something like that, as a bunch of soldiers. Doro Barshoma. I try to remember to say that. This guy, I have seen him described in the comments as the Tupac of Iranian rap, so I think it'll be interesting to check him out. We'll get into it just a second. Before I do, two things. I'm not a professional. I'm not an expert. I do not speak Farsi. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy who likes reviewing music and tries to keep my ears open for stuff that's interesting all around the world. Obviously I'm not going to be able to understand the lyrics. I know that going in, but I can still enjoy the song. Part two is don't be a dick. You may not like me. You may not like the song. You may have political disagreements. You may not like my opinions or how I conduct my reviews. But I would request that you be respectful. I try to be really thoughtful and respectful with my reviews, and I would just ask the same from you. With that out of the way, let's get right into it. This is Bunch of Soldiers from HICHKAS, and this is an old one. Oh, damn, they got Fred on to direct. I thought he was busy with Manchester United. Oh, okay. We got closed captions.
به ما با نام خدا اینم شروع میکنم خدا با هم جمعه شش گذارشیم با حال خوش دا حالی که میشی دنیا رو پشت دا ما یه مشتر بازیم جون به کف اسرائیل با کیپ به ما جوره پس کمک مال همین مکه با پول کم یکم رفت به ما مزه و شوره نه چون ما شورش در بردیم و زدیم کل اون وریا که به اونا گوش دادیم حاضرین واسه چار چیز جون قابل رو بدیم خدا وطن خونه باده و رفیق خیابونم توش موندیم واسه چار چیز یکی چون اجباره و دیگه جا نیست بعدش مرامه اون یکی هم اینجا جاش نیست آخری یکم اشکیه برگای پای میخوام برن دست بالا بالا تر سفت و یکی بالا تا عبد مشتر باز باحال با همکت بودم واسه خودشون داستان ها دارن میخوام برن دست بالا بالا تر سفت و یکی بالا تا عبد مشتر باز باحال با همکت بودم واسه خودشون داستان ها دارن رفی صفای هیچ جا رو نداره هیچ جا همه کوچیک تا قرار پیش ما یاد بگیرن که یه سرباز از خودش میگذره و فکر پرداز ما یه مشتر بازیم فوق لیسانس بزرگترین دانشگاه کل ایران منظورم خیابون تحصیلات نه من جدول و به نیمکت ترکی دادم این یکی ها اصلا سعی نکن باشی مثل ما قسمت مام کردیم گاهی اشتباه اما هر شرایطی خودمون رو میدیم بفت کلی خون و عشق تو راهمون میریزه اما ناامیدی یعنی بیمانی بیدی بابا نلرز دیدی مای پتبنده ترس نداره نزدم بگو ما واسه جنگ حاضریم اگه طلبم میخوام برن دست بالا بالا ترس سفت و یکی بالا تا عبد مشتر باز باحال با همکت بودم واسه خودشون داستان ها دارن میخوام برن دست بالا بالا ترس سفت و یکی بالا تا عبد مشتر باز باحال با همکت بودم واسه خودشون داستان ها دارن بالاست برجم بی برو برگرد رفیق نگران نباش بیت خود تو هستم ما یه مشتر بازیم بودیم بیشتر دیدی بگیر حرفم و تو فاز شوخی نیستم رفتن خیلی ها کنارمون این عیدم ها هستیم به یادتون میخوا شهیدا بدونن اگه هستیم خاکی واسه خونه پاکیشونه که رو زمین باشید همه لوتی ها بدونن که پرچم بالاست تو هم اگه مردی ما هستیم با دعا میکنیم که همون توی صلح باشه آمین آتیش کافیه به اندازه داشتی زودتر برسه روزی که همه شادابن باشد که همه شاد باشه آرومان هست و چون میخوام برن دست بالا بالا تر سفت و یکی بالا تا عبد مشتر باز باحال با همکت بودم واسه خودشون داستان ها دارن میخوام برن دست بالا بالا تر سفت و یکی بالا تا عبد مشتر باز باحال با همکت بودم مهدی رو سنتو رو بیار تو میخوام برن دست بالا بالا تر سفت و یکی بالا تا عبد مشتر باز باحال با همکت بودم بیا 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 بیا
I like it. I like that one. So here's the thing, all right? And I want to make this clear. As somebody who is not from Iran, or specifically Tehran, there are cultural things that I don't fully grasp, right? So personally, I am somebody who supports, I support peace in general. Right? I support people being able to have freedom and live in peace. And I support people being proud of their nation, being proud of where they're from. Especially when we're talking about places like, I'm a big history guy. I love history. And the Middle East, the Levant, whatever you want to call it, historical Persia, Hatti, Palmyra, right? There's so much history in that part of the world that I think it's totally fair for people to be proud of where they're from, right? To be proud of that heritage, to be connected back to Cyrus, right? Through your heritage, through your culture. I think that's awesome. Now, here's the thing. I am also not like super nationalistic. I'm not a big fan of people who try to elevate their own country at the expense of others. And I'm from America, and we do that shit all the time. So I'm not a fan of it here. I'm not a fan of it in Brazil. I'm not a fan of it anywhere. So with that being said, I do enjoy the song a lot. I'm not exactly sure where HICHKAS is coming from. You know, what his like social and moral views are. I do agree with a lot of his points, right? You know, they made the point that basically they graduated from the streets and that they don't want the kids to graduate from the streets. That's a good point. Fight for freedom. That's a good point. I like these things. There are things in there that I agree with. But I don't know what his thought of free Iran looks like either, right? So I want to be careful when I say these things because I don't want to endorse things I disagree with. Right? I want to agree with the things that I can, and the things that I don't know, I want to wait until I get clarity. I can say right now, there are protests ongoing, and that's partly why I'm doing so many Iranian songs right now, so much Persian shit, is because there are protests happening in Iran right now, serious ones, where people are dying. And there's nothing I can do. I can't do anything about it. But I want to show respect to the people who are in the streets. I want to do, whatever little I can, however many people see these, to encourage the people who are out there, who are risking life, who are risking freedom, personal safety, to resist a government that is oppressive. It would be un-American of me to not support people who are resisting an oppressive government, right? Because that's how America came to exist, among other things. And I understand also that because hip-hop culture is borderline illegal / heavily frowned upon in Iran, that for the most part, rappers are going to be fairly countercultural. So I feel generally pretty secure in knowing, even though I don't speak Farsi, even though I don't know all the cultural connotations of everything that is being discussed, I can be pretty comfortable that these rappers are probably also not happy with the government that is in place, right? And so I can agree there. I have no issues with that. It's what their goals are after replacing a government that make me like just cautious, right? I just want to be careful. Because look, you can replace a bad government with a worse one. And I am strongly anti-war. And I don't want to see a bad government in Iran get replaced with a more pro-war Iran, with anybody, not just us. I'm not to be offensive, But I'm not particularly worried about getting in a full-scale war with Iran. Not that it wouldn't be bad, because it would be. But I am unlikely to have to serve in it, right? So it's probably not going to harm me personally. But I don't like to see Iran meddling in other countries in the Middle East. I don't like to see the U.S. meddling in countries around the world. I am of the opinion at this point that just let the borders be the borders. Just be done, right? Let's just move on from guns and swords and bombs. And we're all adults now, right? Let's negotiate. Let's negotiate and speak like adults instead of resorting to violence like children. That's my personal opinion. I understand not everybody agrees with that. And some of the people watching this may not agree with that. And that's fine. We come from different parts of the world. We come from different backgrounds. And I am not somebody who will say violence has never been an answer or never will be an answer, because frequently it is. World War II is a pretty good example of this, in that the German army, right, the German leaders, they were not going to listen to a debate. They were not going to be swayed by words. They had to be resisted with force. The government in Iran, they're not going to be swayed by pretty words. Iran has fantastic speakers, right? They have a history of having very, very gifted poets, powerful speakers, and they are not going to talk this government out of what they're doing, right? They're not going to be able to talk out these morality laws. So they have to be resisted with force. I understand that. But keep it internal. That's my only thing, right? I know that the government in Iran is providing weaponry to Russia in their genocidal war against Ukraine. I don't like that. Now, I would say pretty confidently that the majority of the people who will watch this video or who will, frequent my channel, who are Iranian or from Iran or, of Iranian descent, I would say probably most of you also are not enthusiastic about that, because you probably don't like your government all that much, which is why you're here watching rap videos on the internet. And so in that, I think we can be on the same page, and I'm happy about that. I just worry about motives, right? And I know I'm kind of going into this a lot, but it does just make me want to be very, very clear about where I stand. By doing these videos, by reviewing these videos, by listening to these artists, I can only endorse the things I understand and the things that I understand them to be focused on. And if it is repealing morality laws, I am behind it. If it is reinstituting an imperial Iran, I'm not. I am perfectly happy for Iran to have a prominent place in the world, as a strong power to be negotiated with. I'm totally fine with that. I think that's respectable. But I don't like empire building. I don't like it. I am in the world's largest empire right now, right? I am part of it. And I wish we would stop. And I wish other people would also stop attempting, right? That's what Russia's trying to do in Ukraine. So those are my thoughts, right? But that's at scale. In the current picture, here's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the people who are in the streets, who are getting shot at and shot, who are getting beaten, who are getting placed in prison, who are getting disappeared. Those are the people who I am concerned about. Those are the people who I am with. And I am with, the women of Iran and the women of the entire world where, look, I'm American, I've mentioned this a couple times. Obviously, in America, most people here have, let's say, strong opinions about Islam. And I have some opinions about Islam. It is a religion. If you want to follow it, I think that that's fine. Much like any other religion. Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, whatever it is. Whatever brings you peace, whatever brings your life purpose, I am fine. I encourage you to follow that, to feed that spiritual part of you. But I do draw the line at making rules for other people based on the rules that you have to follow, right? I grew up as a very conservative Christian. And there are things that very conservative Christians are supposed to do and not do. That does not mean that I am supposed to be in charge of what non-Christians do or don't do. They don't legally have to be Christians, and they don't legally have to follow the same rules I have to follow because I made a choice, right? I chose to be a Christian, right? And so with that come certain rules. If you choose to be a Muslim, with that comes certain rules, right? You got to pray 5 times a day. That does not mean that people who are not Muslims should have to follow that rule, right? I think this is simple to understand. And so I am opposed to any government that wants to institute those sorts of rules on its people. Whether that's in Iran, whether that's in Lebanon, whether that's Syria, anywhere over there. And I mentioned those because I guess maybe Indonesia has some of that. I don't really know. I don't know a ton about how militant most, let's say, Muslim-dominated, like the most populist religious group are. But I do know that Iran is pretty militant in terms of being run by religious leaders, having religious laws on the books that apply to anybody in society. And I don't approve of that anywhere. So, my thoughts are with the people of Iran as they resist. And my prayer is that this will be short and powerful and effective. And that the protests will achieve their goal and that they will be over soon. Because the sooner they're over, the fewer people get hurt. At the end of the day, the people that get hurt are normal, common, poor people. Even people with money sometimes. But mostly it's people who are just struggling to get by. It's people who are just trying to exist and do the best they can, right? Usually the people who have resources don't get hurt by these kinds of things. Anyway, look, I'm kind of a communist. So I have strong feelings about the people in power with money. But I've gone on too long. I like this song. This is a good song. I enjoy HICHKAS. I think that his voice sounds good. Obviously, this is an older track. The video is kind of fuzzy, right? Because it wasn't shot in super high def. The audio was not super good. But listen, they're doing their best. I'm not complaining about that. Just like, it's hard for me to get a total picture of how it sounds because the sound quality was lacking a little bit. But I really did enjoy it, and I think I can agree with him on most points here. So thank you for the request. A bunch of people have requested HICHKAS, and one of them is a name that I can't read because it is written in Farsi script. But thank you for requesting it. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for watching. Stay safe out there, and don't talk to police.